Oh, right. As you said, all right, all right, all right.
That's all
So
Matthew McConaughey.
we're starting a little bit late today, but what can you do? I'm actually in the process of downloading a brand new browser, Sagar.
Awesome.
Not Firefox, not Google Chrome.
Oh, I know. Internet Explorer.
No, no way, no way.
For
What we have is Vivaldi.
whoa.
Yeah, whoa, what? Because I was thinking to myself, you need a different browser because the Firefox is very consumptive of the resources, and so is Chrome. Although I need Chrome, but I was thinking to myself, I need to be able to, you know, just have a lighter browser, which is something that I could just, browse the web with really quickly. So I thought, why not Evolve?
Yeah. So just for our listeners, John is our geek.
I'm,
He is like through and through geek.
I am,
Yeah.
but I'm not. It's not too bad. I mean, it's bad enough that I'm on a Linux machine doing this. Right. That's I would say that's pretty bad. But I think that some people can relate. Can some people relate, Sagar?
I guess, yeah. What's that?
You think, yeah, because it's good. It's good. So again, we were a little bit late this morning. Not that anyone else can tell. We're a little bit late. Oh, Sagar, I think we're like 4 weeks in. We're much
A
greater than 4 weeks.
month. Yeah, a month.
Has it been a month? Yikes.
Yeah. But it's good, you know. That's why you call the show greater than or equal to 2 weeks. I think we're good, but too many things were happening. Like we had, what did I have? I had Sanika's birthday party, then Diwali and all that stuff, and then Thanksgiving. And one day it was just cold.
That's right. Some days it's just too darn cold out there. How are you? How are you record? I mean, I mean, not to get too technical here, but are you warm right now?
No, your voice is breaking somehow.
Are you warm right now?
No, it's almost like the music. It's like a. It's,
Can you hear me? How
yeah,
about now?
it's like a wireless delay or something, internet delay.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. How is it? Is it getting any better?
Slightly better, yeah.
Let's see if it passes. So, warm now. How's your warmth?
Oh, today it's gonna be good 45.
Okay.
So
Or
yeah, yesterday was just windy and 32 and it started drizzling. We didn't actually rain, but it was a good day. We bunch of kiddie birthday parties and then grown up birthday parties late night. So yeah, it was a good day.
oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds nice.
yeah,
It was not too cold here either. It was pretty nice. It was not too bad. It was nice.
nice.
My sister and I went over to mom's house, helped her clean stuff up. So it was
Uh,
good. It was in the we did, in the morning we went to our Christmas tree.
oh, nice.
Yeah, Christmas tree. So good stuff. It was just we would have our Christmas tree, and then we're going to decorate this afternoon. So
Cool.
yeah, my man. All right, good sucker.
All right.
Things. A couple things. Right. Um, we have some feedback. We've never really done any feedback.
Yeah.
I think we did that. We did. We have. Okay, we have. But I figure we go over what we've got so far.
Sure.
And one of the main feedbacks that we keep on getting is we can't hear Sagar.
Oh, like
So
people can't hear me, like my views and my, where I stand, or just technical.
just technical, I
Just
think.
that
Yeah.
hurts. You hurt my
Yeah.
feelings.
Well, so we have remedied that. What we've done is that we've bumped your gain on the YouTube recording. Remember, I explained that I
Yep.
do this thing called a Hangouts on Air to record it, and then that publishes to YouTube, and then I can pull that down. Well, there's also like a little control panel in Hangouts on Air, which is it's basically with Hangouts, but then you do Hangouts on Air, and then blah blah. You do it through G Plus, although you can't do it through the Need G. And it's very complicated now because Google decided to change everything up. I don't know how much longer it's going to last. We might have to switch to just YouTube live streaming or whatever, and hopefully they record that one. I don't know, or we have to record locally. I'm not sure, but because Google Plus is changing it all up. But that being said, I turned you up.
Nice.
That's the feedback.
Hopefully my listeners would get, more views.
Hopefully.
And insights on my intellect.
That's right.
No, I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I think that you had some Facebook feedback that you wanted to go. That was the ones from our website.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, on the Facebook we have a bunch of visitors on our Facebook page as well. The activity is growing. A couple of comments are more like, "Hey," sometimes they couldn't hear at all. That was like the beginning of the show. I think you fixed something, and then they were able to like download it as MP3 and listen on. Few of the feedbacks were more like, how do we contribute? So that's a valid point, and I think a few weeks ago we decided, we could actually invite people on the show, whether it's they join in during our recording and express their views, or what I also communicated back was, you could post your views and thoughts or suggestions for any of the topics if you want us to dig in and talk about. So that was one thing. Chinmay, my Chinmay guy, he was more into, he's fully inspired with what you're doing and how you're doing it as well. He wants to start his own. So he had a couple of questions like, how do I start it from scratch? So, and he is listening well. He's more into, I when you guys get into too much like core local politics, that's where some of our international listeners kind of having hard time on, hey, what's going on? So they need to probably Google something, and but that's okay, and that's okay. It just those are the challenges of having international listeners. But overall, I think everybody's saying it's a good initiative. We Some tend to agree, some tend to disagree on what we talk or how we express our views, and which is all the feedback is welcome, and that's where we go.
Yep, that's right. I agree. I think that all feedback is definitely welcome, and we are going to be a little bit centered on U.S. politics and U.S. things. I think that there's been some things this week and some discussions I think we'll have this week that do cover more of a world question. So I think we'll get into that in a second. But I do want to mention that places that you can contact us. So if you wanted to make a comment, or you wanted to just shoot us an email, or if you wanted to blast one of our views, you can definitely do that. You can check us out on Facebook every 2 weeks. You can hit us up on the website, every2weeks.net. You can go after our Twitter account every 2 weeks. And also, you can also email us. You can email us at contact@every2weeks.net. Again, contact@every2weeks.net. We'll receive those feedbacks and, try and talk about it on air and see what shakes out, right? And then to Sagar's point, if we want to get some people on here, we can do that. So, I mean, if you want to share your view, definitely let us know. I think that it's important to be able to talk to the people that are listening. So we want to, and plus it helps us grow, right? It gives us something to talk about, right, Sagar?
True.
That's right. So last week we talked about the Volkswagen ecological disaster. Have you noticed, Sagar, as big as this news story was, it fell away. I mean, obviously there's been other things that have happened, but it fell away. It's no one's talking about it anymore.
Nope.
I would say that Volkswagen's lucky that the news cycle is so short, and that the world is so concentrating on other things, other important things, mind you. Like I don't think we've spoken since Paris.
No, we haven't.
Since San Bernardino, since London. There's been a few terrorist attacks, Sagar, and VW has fallen away. So VW is no longer a question. Well, we'll have to come back to VW, because of course we're going to talk about, I think, a little bit of the terrorism that's been going on. But I just want to put a pin in it, right? Because it's one of those things that it's costing VW $11 billion, $12 billion, and they've got to fix this thing. And there are cars out there that are still doing emissions problems, and no one's talking about it because they all want to talk about terrorism.
Yep. I think Obama talked about on that, what is that, G20 Environment Summit, like, it is the issue that our nation is facing, not just our nation, but, everyone is facing. We need to cut down. Whereas the developing countries are saying, give us more space on the carbon footprint. You cut down, because you're already, tier one country, so you figure out how you want to cut it. How we're gonna do it. Because I mean, we outsource what production or manufacturing out in China. They don't give a shit. They're still gonna do it. We can't stop them. So the other developing countries like India, Indonesia, those are also saying, hey, let us do that too. Let us, level the playing field kind of situation. And then in your country, you cut it down. So it's a tough challenge. So VW is doing it. We need to stop it. But are they the only one at fault right now? That's
So,
the bigger question, I think.
so you're saying that we've made a rule and only we're going to follow it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, only developed countries would follow it. The others
but
are like, let us do it. We're gonna do it.
The only problem with that is, and I get it, but the only problem with that is that the lowered manufacturing costs for things out of those countries is so low that the local workforce of some countries, so factories and industry, are going to stay in China and India and all those. And at what point do you say, okay, whoa, you've got to cut down on the emissions, and you're perfectly stable. You're now a tier one country. Like, there's always going to be a country above some other country, whether that's America, UK, India, Russia, right? I mean, there's always going to be a country that is lower than some other country.
Yep.
So as much as they want the opportunity that America had and the UK had to say, oh well, we're gonna burn fossil fuels like a mother, like,
Yeah.
like like oh, you need a couch that just costs 10 tons of coal, but it's a couch for you, right?
Yep.
Those days are over. Now we say, okay, we're gonna make sure we're not terrible. I think that, in my opinion, that's some bullcrap. So I don't think you can do that. If you know that your carbon emissions are tearing stuff up and killing the economy, okay, and then but you also have customers. So at this point, you are a developing country, but you also have customers. You also have people that are buying your product and buying your stuff. So China and India, wherever, Bangladesh, which is a city, not a country, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Bangladesh is a country.
Is it a country?
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh, I just lost a point. Okay, so you know you can't. I don't think it's environmental cost that's going to get in your way. I think it's government corruption that's going to get in their way. I don't think it has anything to do with emissions. I think it's more their chamber of commerce, which is probably a bunch of people that don't care about their workers, and their bureaucrats over there are like, no, we don't want this environmental stuff. We think that we're too low on the totem pole. We still need to make the money and come up in the world before we can start being eco-conscious
Right.
or whatever, right? So I think that argument is bullshit to me, because it's, if you're going to sell me stuff, then you
Right.
have, and yeah, that's all I'm saying.
And I look at it in a way. I mean, a I'm with you. I don't like this pollution, or what's going on with it. I believe in global warming to an extent. So something bad is happening. I get it, but making a statement like, hey, whether you're a developing country or developed country, follow these rules. It's kind of hard. Imagine, two kids, one fatso, you know, from our country, and one malnourished kid from Somalia who barely had, a good meal in ages, or even milk. Now we are saying, hey, 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 it's bad. It's getting bad. Both of you gonna eat broccoli, right? So th- that's my feeling towards, making it standardized. Because fatso is like, I don't like broccoli. I want fries. And the malnourished guy is like, what's broccoli? Is it edible? Can I eat it? I'm gonna eat it. But what else? I'm still hungry.
Right. Well, okay, so you raise a good point. You raise a point that I forget every once in a while, because it's out there. It's rights. It's it's the difference between having an EPA or having a government body or having a world body that says that one thing is pollution and one thing is not. One kid can eat French fries because he has a high metabolism, and one kid cannot because he's a fatty, right?
Yep.
So, but I don't think that we have a good grasp on being able to. It sucks because not everyone's a good person, right? There's
Agreed. Yeah.
there's eating too much French fries from ignorance, and then there's eating too much French fries because you're like, I'm gonna get fat to the point where I can go on disability, and then I can suck off the teeth that is the American social welfare system, right? So what I'm concerned about, Sagar, is that it's very hard to police, and we can't make everyone eat broccoli. Like it can't be. it becomes a totalitarian state if you have like everyone being pushed down and oppressed by regulation after regulation after regulation. And then you have such a large bureaucracy following everyone around that the bureaucracy is larger than the private sector. And that's not good either.
Right. I mean, trust me, I'm all for, stop that pollution shit. The only way to control that is how US could control that for all the countries. I mean, US is the driver here for any policy. They can stand back and say, hey, 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 if your manufacturing is not following these standards, that shit is not getting into our country. If you stop buying that stuff, I mean, consumer is the biggest uh, almighty firepower, right? If consumer is denying that product, yeah, someone would need to think. But we can't because it's so freaking cheap, right? And anything that they make, not every product is a quality product. So I'm like, between this tissue paper and that tissue paper, if this is like, $10 cheaper than the branded one or the pollution free one, I might still buy the cheaper one because it's a throwaway money. I'm not using that product for something good. It just, I'm gonna wipe some ass and throw it away.
Right.
So that I get it, but US can actually do it. Now, do we have guts to do it? That's another challenge. So I think getting everyone on that carbon footprint is okay, but there is no real incentive because the thing is the same Volkswagen story all over. What was their real incentive to bring it? Or not now, not now that everybody knows they need to, but back in the days, what was their incentive? Or what is stopping Volkswagen selling something in a country that doesn't even know what EPA stands for? Because there are still rich people there. They're still gonna sell it in, Nigeria. They don't care. There's no EPA. So they're still gonna sell it. So morally, should VW stop selling it just because, they know it or just because it sells? That would be the question for VW guys, but I'm just, it's more of a moral stand rather than because that's something you cannot see. I don't see global. I don't see hole in the ozone layer, right? All I see is like a bunch of white dashes going for the aircrafts and all that stuff. I don't see the hole. So if you don't see something, how are you going to react to that? And in
I'm
some
with you.
countries like China, where it was floating around on social media somewhere, it's like a Chinese guy, all he did is took a handy vacuum and wherever he walked, he just, vacuumed the air, not the floor, mind you, the air almost to his nose level. And in about a month or a year, I don't know how long he did that experiment, he collected like close to 100 grams of, dust and brick right from the air.
Right.
Now, because China is such a big manufacturing hub, I get it. The pollution is going to happen. But now even people should get it that it's affecting them. That's real. But again, the country is communist. You can't even speak about it. The guy might get jailed for just doing it. Not for doing it, but at least posting it on social media. Now everybody knows what China is.
Well, well, well. I mean, and I think that and they've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks about, there's been some social media posts and some pictures sent out there about, um, the what do you call it? The smog in China. They say that
Yeah,
it's actually really getting quite bad. That it's not, it's visible, right? It's not just like, ooh, look at this. It's a little bit darker. No, it's like Los Angeles back in the day, San Francisco back in the day, when the pollution was so bad, because you have the way that the city is shaped and everything like that, it doesn't have any place to go, so the smog just rests there, and you can barely see, and all that good stuff, right?
Yep.
Um, it's they can see it, and like you said, the guy wandering around with the dealie, the little air sucker thingy, and filtering the air and taking a look at it. I went to London back in 2002, and I don't know if it's gotten any better, but here's a city that is so old. I mean, like old, right? I live in America, and the largest city, is probably only about 200 years old. And then you have to go back to, to see a building, like a building, something that stood for a long time. You really have to hunt for something that's been standing for more than 200 years,
Yeah.
or even 150. In Britain, you know, that's old world, right? That's
Everything
like
is old, including the
right,
queen.
right, even the queen, right? No offense, but I don't want MI5 kicking down my door. I mean, like, did you say something bad about the queen?
What?
Soccer lives in Ohio. Um, so the the I mean, yeah, you could probably go to Greece or something like that and get it, but it's different. When I talk about old buildings, I don't mean old like Parthenon. I'm talking about you know industrial age, right?
Yep.
My point is that in Britain, when I was there for about a week, when I blew my nose, it wasn't it wasn't a normal color, Sagar. It was almost black.
Yeah.
Um, right?
Yeah.
Which to me, I was like, holy macaroons, like this is crazy, right? Compared to even in Baltimore City, and mind you, I don't live in an industrial section of the city. There's but yeah, I'd never in my life. So you go to some place. So I'm betting that if you go to Beijing, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're breathing in some nastiness.
Yeah. So it's real. It's happening. It's not happening to me. So much. What's my incentive? That that that's the bigger question. Or do I even have an option? So people living in China, they wouldn't even know that is their right to refuse working at such a factory, right?
Right.
So if I don't know if it's my right or I have that option, how I'm gonna face it? He can't go up to his boss saying, hey, you're polluting this shit. I'm not showing up for the job. There are like other billion people standing for the same job. So individual cannot take an action. It has to come from top, and there's no big incentive for the top. Like keep manufacturing, keep exporting.
Right. And then their lobbyists are like, no, we're a a developing country. You can't restrict us.
Right. But I mean, China has produced more goods to date than what US and UK in their, the charcoal days, what they produced in those days. So it's gotta stop. Because if you take like, okay, I I burnt like, okay, 3 trillion tons of coal over past 100 years. Now we became a developed country. You already burned 300 trillion tons. You already burnt more than 100 times, and you're still not a developed country. So it it's not about whether you're a developed country or not. It's just the incentive, and as you said, bureaucracy, lobbying, and corruption. Those are the things that's stopping it.
Right.
US, on the other hand, took the shortest route possible. Hey, just stop the freaking manufacturing here. Let go. Let go. They let it go, and there we are. Someone is doing it. So they didn't actually fix the problem. They just pushed it over to the next available person. Hey, any takers? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thinking, yeah. Wow, wow, wow.
That's a good way to look at it, actually. That we, that's why Apple can go over to China and build all their products,
Yep.
because there's not as high of a standard for such things as that. Now they do have, as the past couple of years, there have been issues with the workforce, but I guess those have been solved. Yeah, exactly. We kind of did pass the buck when it comes to that a little bit, because there are so much more stringent, rules here.
Right.
So, all right, listen, let's change subjects just because this is a little deep, and we'll probably get back to something deep. But I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Have you ever in your life thought that the world would watch Jersey Shore or Keeping Up with the Kardashians as much as they have? Now, mind you, Jersey Shore is no longer on the air, thankfully. But the Kardashians, right? For people who aren't aware, for our friends overseas and in other countries, the Kardashians are a family of people that live in Hollywood, and they have, ingrained themselves with a TV show where they supposedly expose their lives to us via camera through a reality TV show. Sagar, I could give a flying fig about these people, but every time, like I'll put it this way: I like to read the news, read the news, and I have a Google app for that, and I open up my news, and I like entertainment news. I like to find out what Tom Cruise is working on, or Julia Roberts' new movie's coming out, and she says this about it. Some of that stuff I'm like, cool, because it's a marketing junket, right? But it's still a movie I might want to see. I like Julia Roberts. I like Tom Cruise, blah, blah, blah. But in the entertainment section, I'm guaranteed to find out how Khloe Kardashian feels about her hair that day.
I'm guilty as charged. Sometimes I watch, Keeping Up.
Are you kidding me right now?
Did you see her photo shoot?
Oh, stop.
Oh,
Stop.
Come on. I haven't watched like from season one or how they even got into it, and I don't know if they were like, did they move to Hollywood or they were always there? Or I don't know how it all started. But yeah, I'm curious about the baby and the born. What do they call him? Jordan? Yeah, I don't know the baby's name, but yeah, yeah, I follow that sometimes. Where they go.
Sometimes. Sometimes. Sometimes.
I like to know where they're going for.
Whose baby, Stalker? Who had a baby recently?
Who's that? Not Kim, her sister.
Yeah, she
Ah,
did. I know this because it's in my Google feed, and you should not know it.
Yep.
Dude, here's the thing. Back in the day when I was a kid, the only one that they really reported on, you'd pick up your People magazine or your Star or your other, rag sitting at the grocery counter, at the checkout. But the only thing that you'd really hear about would be like it to this level was the Royals, the British Royals, right? I mean, because they always had something going on, and it was almost like the Royals are important because they literally are still royalty, and they still literally, that family actually owns like 40% of Britain or some crazy number, right? where so like they literally do own the country, but they've turned over power, and they lease all the land for like nothing, to the government, right? So, and also the amount of money that they get from tourism. So like they're worth keeping. and they're not really worth watching because since they don't have any power, it's kind of pointless. But here we are in the United States, and we're following some random family and watching with such interest and here's the other thing. I have multiple Twitter accounts, right? And I forget to turn off all of the notifications and the things. So I go in my email box and it's like, here's what's trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
It turns out that Ariana Grande said something about her eyeshadow, and Khloe Kardashian visited the baby, and Mashable, which used to be a reputable place that you would look for technological news, techie news, whatever you want to say, they were retweeting that Khloe was going to see the baby or whatever.
Oh.
And I'm like, are we really here, Sagar? I realize that you watched it, and you know what? I'm not gonna badmouth it more than I already have. But why?
Here's a thing that might change your perspective on that. Like I get it. It's worthless show, probably worthless than Impractical Jokers. You know, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. No, there were a couple more, but I'm just saying that Impractical Jokers sucks too. But
Okay.
here's the thing. So the Kardashian, someone gave them the idea, and they don't do shit, right? They just don't do anything. They just they have millions to live their life. Now, some guy approached them. They built a game, an iPhone or iPad or your Droid, you know. They built them a game to dress up Kim or all the Kardashians. You know what you do? It's a free download. It's an in-app purchase. You actually go and buy a dress for Kim for 225. People are doing it. Do you know how much they made in 1 month? 70, 70 or probably 270 mil.
No, not million. No way.
I it was some odd number, but something in mils
In
in
the
a
mills.
month.
In a
Yeah.
month.
Do you
Well,
see the point? It's like,
I
whoa, am
of
I? And then you feel guilty about not sending to that charity, or they
Brent,
make us feel guilty about that.
I just bought 8 kilobytes worth of sprites to put a dress on a doll on my phone for $2.25, and yet I couldn't give to the homeless shelter down the street.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I was following them from that perspective. Like, whoa, can I build a game? What do I need? So what you need is really good marketing plan.
Yeah,
People
agreed.
would buy shit. It's I'm not saying it's pollution free, but it's still relatively EPA approved app.
That's a
that
good
that
point.
you're not running your server down somewhere, which makes their electricity based on coal.
It's true. So,
Shit.
Sagar, I cannot, and I will not get on board with this. It's like Twitter sent me today. They say, "Hey, John, you got to follow Blake Shelton and Kylie Jenner." Why on earth would I want to follow Blake Shelton, who it seems like a nice man, right? And he's on The Voice. I know this because I
Yep.
do watch the televisions, but I don't watch The Voice. But I just know, and I know that he's because of all of the social media and because I walk through a grocery line. I know that him and the lead singer of No Doubt, Gwen Stefani, who's also on The Voice, are dating. Right? Like I know these things and don't want to. But they just leach into my brain. So literally, because I'm like, oh yeah, Blake Shelton, he's going out with Gwen Stefani. I might click follow, really quick, but I'm not going. And then Kylie Jenner, I believe Kylie is one of the two younger ones, and the fact that they're so popular and they're making so much money just because America wants to see them, it literally makes me sick. I don't know.
Uh,
I guess some
it's
people watch sports. Some people watch other people.
how empty your life needs to be to follow
No,
Kardashians.
and
And that part of me is there.
no,
The thing is, a if I have,
oh, sorry there.
if I watch that,
Oh, sorry there. Oh, you're going in and out. Is
now,
it me?
I mean, because our attention span has reduced from whatever, like 10 minutes to 10 seconds now. Unless you scroll on the Facebook page or anything, something is not happening, something is not right. When my life is dull, that's the feeling that those marketing guys give us. Like if you're not doing something right this instance, your life sucks. Whereas it doesn't. It's more like social pressure. So that's why
Um,
that's how I scrolled into that Kardashian. So I had like the documentary of some scroll from 17th century which had no significance at all, or
mhm.
or Kardashians which were doing something.
What are they doing though, Sagar? Are they? They're not
Yeah,
like.
they walk in and they talk and they eat. I can relate to them, they eat the same food that I eat, and and it
Oh,
just
do
you're
they?
on TV,
Do
yeah.
they? Do they, Sagar? They eat the same food? Do you have your own personal chef? Do you, Sagar?
No.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no,
Mm.
no. You know, I'm gonna call this episode Kardashian greenhouse gases.
If you think about it, it's kind of funny.
I know, because it's true. They're an
Yeah.
eco. They are a a mind disaster. They are a waste of time disaster. They are a life suck beyond belief. Um, and you know what? Let me take a step back because you watch the show, and I'm down. That's
Mhm.
that's fine. Some people watch sports. Some people watch the Kardashians.
Yep.
Um, and in a way, sports is in my face just as much, right? Sports is
Yeah.
just as much all up in my grill, and
Yeah.
I don't watch sports, right? So it's not a big whatever. Um, but yet when someone, what's interesting is that the only time I really learn about sports is, or you find out a really big story is when they do something Kardashian esque, like here in Baltimore
Yep.
when the guy hit his wife, or well, it was more than hit her, but he did a bunch of stuff that was pretty terrible. We all heard about it. It was crazy, right? So it's
Yeah.
funny how their personal life um, gets in like that. So again, I'm still going to call it the Kardashian ecological disaster, but because I do think Sagar, and I know again, everyone can do what they want to do, and if you want to watch the Kardashians, that's completely okay, right? Completely okay. But I would like people to know how much of a time suck it is, and if you were, it's kind of like eating those French fries. It's serious.
Yeah.
It's like the broccoli versus the French fries, right? Yes, Sagar, you could watch a documentary on global warming instead of watching the Kardashians, right?
Oh yeah. But there, it's new. When you're hitting 40s, you're, hey, am I getting old? Should I be watching this? Is it making me old?
Right.
Versus the other one, hey, maybe that's making me young now or younger.
Right.
Yeah. So their target audience is from like 11 to 51, so I'm still in the range.
Like that makes it acceptable, right?
Yep. Socially
Yeah.
acceptable targeted audience.
Right. Exactly. Oh man. Okay. So this literally is going to be the Kardashian ecological disaster, but you know, because I think it is a huge time suck. But you are in the demographic soccer, so you are allowed to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
And
And speaking of targeted audience, what a bunch of crap in Southern California, you know?
well, let's give a quick timeline. So we've been gone for quite some time, and in that time, right,
Yeah.
we've had three attacks, right? And I don't want to make this the terrorism attack list of every week, but be like, how many were there this week? Because there are more. Actually, there was another one. There was the attack in Mali. So there
Yep.
was actually four. And here's the other thing. I'm missing some because in other countries there are things happening that we don't, that I can't see, right? So there's places like there's a couple of countries in Africa where there's still in Afghanistan there's basically what could be considered terrorist attacks happening, right? So there are more than even I can see. Oh, and by the way, one day I want to talk about India. I had no idea about the India, Pakistan, Russia, Nepal, Himalaya thing.
Oh, yeah. And add Tibet to that, the Dalai
Yes.
Lama line.
So one day we will talk about that
We
because
sure would.
it blows my mind. We had no idea. I've known you for 4 or 5 years, and not that you would be like, hey, so yeah, my country goes to war like every day right in this area. We don't really talk about that because it's not centric to what we do. But anyway, okay, so we'll get back to that later on a later day because I don't think, especially in America, I don't think we have no idea. Of all the people I've asked, we've had no idea about the conflict in India, and had you know what I mean. And that so many people die even every year in that war, which is no one's calling a war, but it literally is. So I just want to do want to bring that up at some point, but let's go back to my comment. So we've had 4 attacks, terrorist attacks, right?
Yep.
I'm just going to list them off, and then we'll start off with the one that you want to talk about. But we have Paris, which was a coordinated effort with a number of people. They hit a number of sites at once with I believe they were all wearing explosives and they all had AK-47s or something. And something like 120 people were killed in this terrorist attack, this coordinated terrorist attack. From at like 3 or 4 locations. I'll bring up the details in a minute, but there was that one. In Mali, the Radisson Hotel in Mali, a band of people ran in there again with guns and bombs and hand grenades or something like that, and they just went in and just started killing anything that moved. Screaming some terrible things about Allah and all that good stuff. And then we had San Bernardino, California, here in the United States.
Oh, boy.
A couple walked into their workplace during a holiday party, and they opened fire with semi-automatic rifles and killed 14 people, injured 21 others. Later, ran out and were killed by the police in their vehicle. Then finally, we have London, and this I'm bringing it up now. 1 second, because this happened just last night, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, last night or the night before, where a man at a tube station pulled out a knife and tried to kill people, and he slashed a number of people.
He didn't kill anyone.
No, they didn't kill him.
See, guns are bad.
No, guns are not bad,
I
Sagar.
so want to
People are
bring
bad, Sagar,
that
not guns.
topic. I know, yeah, I know you don't want to go there, but yeah, guns are bad. Can you imagine? I mean, I get it. I get your point. But see, now you have the example right in front of you, and you're reading it as we speak, right? Because what happened in London, the guy couldn't kill a shit.
But that's not true. It's just that they don't know how to do it. It.
N-
When I was in London, someone died. A family died of a handgun robbery where someone had a gun and then when they went in and robbed them.
Yep.
So like guns are in Britain and they can get in Britain and they can get in Britain in mass. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter whether or not the laws are super stringent or not.
Hmm.
If a terrorist organization wants to get in there with guns, they can. This guy was probably just a Looney Tune and screamed.
Yeah.
He wasn't an organized guy.
Right. Or funded.
Right, we're funded. So so here, why don't you give me your anti-gun stance in like I won't interrupt. I'm sorry about that guy. Go ahead. I want you to just go ahead.
The guns, yeah, bad, bad, bad. That's one thing. But if the couple in California, if they didn't have guns, if we didn't have, so flexible in our approach, like, hey, you look like a nice guy, take this gun, buy the gun. He bought it. Okay, now whether he was linked with terrorism or not, or he had like shitload of weaponaries and bombs in his house, he didn't use any of that. He used legally purchased guns from the United States with the unlimited supply that you can buy for the bullets or ammunition, and he used those guns. So, what is my quickest choice of weapon? Is my authorized, legally bought gun, as against, oh, I could use this explosive device and I could kill probably the same number of people with it. But no, he didn't. He didn't choose that. So overall, the choice of mass killing, or the people who are doing this mass shooting, the choice of weapon is consistently is a gun, as against any other explosive device or knife. And knife is not even in the race. Knife is like, hey, you're a kitchen utensil. Sit there. I'm not using you. But that they are not choosing anything other than guns. So why not? It's more like, hey, you run, you run into an accident. What? Your hand is bleeding. Hey, your head is bleeding, but your hand is not bleeding as much. What should I fix? Maybe someone would say, hey, fix his head first. No, we're saying, that's okay. That's not because is bleeding so much, but the hand is more important. So the whole idea of having guns open, or we being open to guns, it's just a bunch of crap. We don't need guns. And we have seen so many instances, and there is not even a single instance, except some folks in Texas, which are weird. Uh, there is no single instance where a gun holder actually saved a life. If we are not saving a life, why do you need guns? What are we holding on to, a piece of metal that you haven't used for a good cause for the last 30 years? What's the point in holding on to that? I understand it's your right, which can be struck down so it doesn't stay your right anymore, or you still had it. You had it for so many years. You didn't use it for a good cause. Why do you want to hold on to that? If it could save even a single life, I would still give it up. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, so so my rebuttal, would be guns are good, good, good. Number one, guns are good, good, good. To kind of go against a couple of your points, right? One is that the consistent weapon used in this fight, this terrorism, these terrorism acts, has been, yes, it has been assault rifles, right? And I say assault rifles meaning a rifle that is semi-automatic and holds more than 5 rounds, let's say, because like if you're hunting a deer, you don't need a 40-round clip because you don't want to clean the deer that much. You also don't want to do too much damage to the meat and all that good stuff, right? So you're not going to use a 40-round clip on it. So I say assault rifle, knowing that it's a very generic term. I'll say assault rifle, but an AK-47,
I must give you the credit there that you use the word, the acts of terror for any mass shooting. Not like our media, which is like, hey, let's figure out, let's take his, you know, fingerprint first to figure out who he is. Then we'll call it, you know, whether it's an act of terrorism or not. I'm glad you.
Yeah, we
He,
can come back to that, but you're right. An act of terrorism is anyone who goes against um, a civilized society, really, right? Someone that goes against and does it in such a forceful manner and/or kills people for their own ideology that goes against a civil, obedient society that lives by a moral code of don't steal, don't kill, and don't use force against other people. Yeah, that's basically what terrorism is, right? So you're right. You're absolutely right. It doesn't have to be from a specific ideology, whether that be religious or even, well, it is, obviously, most of the time people are talking about a certain religious ideology right now. But you're right.
yeah,
Homegrown terrorism has many forms. Well, look at Oklahoma City bombing. That was 100% homegrown terrorism.
yep.
It didn't have any ideologies that went outside the U.S. Right? So yeah. Okay. So back to the point.
Yeah.
So gun laws. One of the statements you said was consistent weapon, and I think that the consistent weapon argument, I understand it, but I also think that this gentleman and his wife really wanted to kill a lot of people, and I think that given the opportunity that they would have found another way to do it. I've come up with a couple of scenarios in my head, trying to figure out like what they would have done. They could have come in with a can of gasoline and a spray nozzle and just lit it up and let it burn. And it probably would have killed everyone in the room, maybe even everyone in the building. So I mean, it could have been that easy if they really wanted to do that. Although they would have died in that scenario. They're such assholes that they ran after killing those people, thinking that they could get away and not die. I thought that they were going to be, anyway. So consistent weapon argument, I understand, but also when you look at prisons and the type of weapons that a man or woman creates to either protect themselves or to attack someone, the ingenuity is boundless, right?
Right.
A gun will always be made, no matter whether or not. I mean, especially look at 3D printing. I mean, like, you could take away all the guns right now, Sagar, but there's always going to be this very deep black market for guns. And even people who can't get a gun, they're going to find another way to hurt as many people as possible based on their ideology or their psychosis, right? So let's I think the consistent weapon argument is not a great one in my eyes. I think that, that's just not the where it needs to be. Now, some people say, well, you should get rid of guns, and why do you need it? It's a hunk of metal in your house that you don't need. I kind of equate that to retaining the smallpox vaccination. Smallpox, it was thought to have been completely eradicated, and so some people were like, well, let's get rid of the vaccine and destroy all of the living smallpox that we have. And then that way, it'll never come back. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a microbiologist. I'm not a, viral engineer, whatever they're called. But I think that you should keep the smallpox around and its thing, because you never know when it could rear its ugly head or come back again or something like that. That to me is like what having a gun in your house is defense for. Now on to that. Now how do you two things. One, how do you stop people from hurting each other with a gun? So how? Then you have, why are we having this conversation? And this is the how and the why of the gun thing, right? And you brought up some of it, which was like, you don't need it anymore, right? And I used the vaccination thing. I think that our laws in this country are all out of whack. And I think that it would help if they were in whack instead of out of whack. One of them being, a guy will go to jail for, holding on to a very small amount of marijuana for a long time. But meanwhile, the guy that beats his wife doesn't go to jail for very long. Or the guy that robs a liquor store with a handgun only goes to jail for the same amount of time as the guy with the marijuana.
True.
My thing is that if you show aggression with a gun in possession, like it's on your person, within your reach, and you have a gun, to me, that is that you, in a moment of rage or in a moment of knowing what you were doing, you were willing to kill somebody. Well, now you go to jail for a long time because you had a weapon that is so deadly that as soon as you push the button, they're dead. So you can A, no longer have a gun legally, and B, you're going to go to prison for a long time because you simply cannot do that in society. You cannot use the form of aggression, force of aggression with a gun or any weapon for that matter, whether it be a knife or a gun, but you go to jail. And honestly, all the people that sell marijuana should be taken out of jail. Right? So that way that would free up a lot of room in our prisons. But now the other question comes down to, why do we want to get rid of guns, and what is the thought process, in my opinion, as to why we're having this debate over and 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 over again. And I do want to use statistics to talk about that.
Yep.
So when you look at something like, how many people die of heart disease each year?
Mm-hmm.
Watch this. Heart disease each year, right? And this isn't the best statistic, but my point is, so in 2008, well, let's see if I can find something. 600,000 people die of heart disease in the United States every year. That's 1 in 4 deaths. So that means that in this country, if that's 1 in 4, that means that 2.5 million people die every year. I'm going. Okay. So how many people are killed by handguns? Hold on.
Yep.
So how many people are killed by guns every year?
Okay, so to that statistics, what was the percentage on the heart issue? 40?
1 in 4 Americans.
So 25%. So look at it from this point of view. Like it's not 1 in 4. It's 1 in 4 who die of heart disease.
Right.
9 in 10 who die of violence die because of gun violence.
Okay.
So now do you see the bigger threat?
No. And that's because the fact that we don't have proper laws, right? So we talk about mass shootings. Of the mass shootings that have happened to date in the United States.
Yep. All because of guns.
No, all because of the individuals that pulled the trigger, Sagar. So
All by
it's not because of guns. It's not because of guns. It's not because the because of guns would be a gun nut who in his house loved guns and loved them so much and was it was like all he did was live and breathe guns. And then he died because he put too many guns on his chest as he fell asleep at night and it was too heavy. That was because of guns. No, my all of them from the gentleman that walked into, I call him a gentleman. I've done that twice now. The asshole that walked into a movie theater while it was playing a movie and shot up the theater.
hmm
So again, not because of guns. He had a known psychological condition. His family knew that he was weird, but yet he purchased guns legally. He wasn't marked, whether or not it be through the community or through the legal system, as having a mental condition. The two people that went into San Bernardino, they purchased weapons legally, but yet both of them were on the watch list for a potential threat.
Right.
And the community around them knew that they were a little bit wackadoo. So here you have a community not saying anything. You have our government who supposedly has laws and has regulations and restrictions and blah 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 and lists of people can't fucking get in their own out of their head out of their own ass, or their bureaucracy is so large and stupid that they don't know what they're doing half the time, which is just a waste of money. Thank you very much. They actually didn't see these people and have them on their radar enough to not let them purchase handguns or purchase weapons, right?
You
So
right there. You sounding like a lobbyist for NRA. You know, it's not that onus is not on me to be safe. Yeah, I mean it's partially on me, but you can't put it on the society. You need to
but
put
you
it on
but
the
you're
gun. You need to put it on the government. I
no
have the
you're
same stand for the refugees too. See,
no but
onus is not on an American to be safe, whereas you're allowing shitload of crazy wackadoo in my neighborhood. Stop it. Same thing, you know. You failed to check the flag, just it was just a checkbox, whether he was flagged unstable or mental condition or whatnot. The government failed to do that, and now 14 people are dead in the theater,
I'm
or
not
however many. So
I'm
onus should not be on a guy who's living peacefully in the society. The
but
the
otherwise
moviegoers went to the movie. They didn't go to see some random shooting. They didn't go, to a shooting area where they practice. What is it called? I don't even know that. But you know, none of them went to see a live deer hunting. They went to see a movie, and they're dead.
yes, this is
You,
true.
you shouldn't have
But
guns at all.
no,
Onus,
but you're
onus,
never gonna get
onus
this
should
guy.
not be on the moviegoers. Like,
I'm
hey,
not
because you
saying that
went to the
moviegoers.
movie,
I
because you
didn't
went to the
say
movie,
that.
you're
I
dead. You're dead.
I didn't say that it was the moviegoer's fault. What I said was that the onus is also on the rest of society. It's not you cannot take away one thing and be like that's going to make the difference, because what you're really doing is that you're putting everyone else, right? If you take the amount of people that own guns and the amount of legally and the amount of
Mhm.
people that commit crimes with them or are crazy and are going to do something, that number is so incredibly small. So what you're doing is that you're telling every single person in the United States of America, hello, I'm the government, I am the majority, and I'm telling you that you can't own guns.
Right.
That to me is wrong. It's
Okay.
100% wrong that you think that you can restrict the right of an individual in this country.
Correct. But you know that we're telling people that drugs are bad. You know, doing drugs
And
or
that's
selling drugs or buying drug could end you up in jail. Why can't we tell the same thing about guns? You're saying, okay, I have pot in my house, and because it's in my house and it's for my own pleasure, or I'm not gonna go out with it. Only a couple of wackadoos are going, getting high and going out with it. That's why they're bad, and you shouldn't ban the pot in my house. We are telling people that. Same thing with the guns. They're gonna be wackadoos. Just take it away. Same thing with the drugs. Drugs are bad. Just because a couple of crazy people are doing it on the road, just hold them and not someone who's doing in the house. They're equally crazy. We,
So
we,
you're saying that we should take away drugs or we should give people their drugs?
no, take it away. We are no, we already told them, drugs are bad and you're not allowed to buy and sell the drug on the street, right? Didn't we tell them? Yes, we did.
I think that we should I
You
think that we should
you
legalize
can you
drugs.
can't walk into CVS, drugs as in the big drugs, not marijuana. But you can't walk into CVS and buy a shitload of hey, do you have any the M word, the crystal meth or whatnot. You can buy that at
Meth, right?
Walgreens. Yeah,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's meth and coke and crack. Right.
yeah.
And but the thing
So
is, though,
why are we telling society that they're bad and you can't buy it? Then they don't kill 14 people in one shot. They could.
I think that it's too much
Lobbying.
of a or no, it's too much
Sorry,
of a
I'm
restrictions
just
of our rights to say that no more guns. I think that it's more of a fear of gun violence that people who don't own guns have in their brain. And I'm not trying to be offensive. But I do think that it is, you know, a fear that in some way, the current gun laws as they stand, the current gun ownership situation in America is going to cause you to be in a situation where you're going to be a gun's going to be put in your face, right? And or that you're going to suffer, you or your family's going to suffer from some type of gun violence. But I don't believe that taking away the rights of other people is going to protect you any more than the laws that we already have. It's just
agreed.
not.
I totally agree with you. What I'm saying is, you don't have to be the first one to give up a gun, but don't stop a guy who could give up a gun and then just follow the follow the tracks and just give it up whenever you feel safe. There's a timeline. How many years do you want to feel safe? It's
That's just
never
the thing. You're never going to feel safe.
right.
I don't.
But
I don't. I mean that I think that you should be allowed to own a gun because you don't feel safe. Like there is no perfect society, Sagar. Like look at Europe right now. Let me ask you that. Look at Europe right now. There are so
mhm,
many young men that are in those refugees, right? That are coming up and they are doing their best to whether or not through malice or not, they're doing their best sometimes to break laws to get into certain countries, right? They're willing to jump in a trucker's truck and go through the tunnel. They're willing,
mhm.
and so now you have these bands of young men that are now roaming the countryside in Europe. And it's not that bad. It's not like it's not so bad. But my point is, I'd be damn happy to have my guns in my house. So that way, if somebody decided, oh well, you know, we're five guys and we're just going to go ahead and live there where those people are living because we're just going to force them to. Well, not if the country's populated with gun owners. They wouldn't be able to get in. You know what I mean?
Our
Like
government or any government is powerful enough to stop that.
I'm not going to wait for the government.
Right. So there's something wrong going on. How do we stand up and fix that instead of taking gun ourselves, which some wackadoos in Middle East are doing? We are not in Syria. People took guns in hand because I saw this doing something bad. Let me do this. We don't want to get there. We don't want to get there. It's everyone. See, and I don't want to be, on this country is bad and that country is good kind of situation. But whoever traveled up north from nicest California, the one we bought, you know, the violence started from there. And now it started because, those people came in with drugs, with money, and then it spread all across. So we let in people, we let in bad people, and we don't want to send them back, or we don't want to take a proper action against it. So it's the same thing. We don't want to fix the pollution problem. We just want to pass the buck.
It's kind of true. All right, well, let's listen. Let's you know
Yeah.
what we I think we're at the hour marker, a little bit over.
Oh,
I know that the gun debate could go on for ages. I think
I
that
know.
I have a passion for it.
We
You think I'm nuts. I know, and that's fine.
see
Uh,
Kardashians. We like it or not, we still spoke about it, and we couldn't get to the main issues, and that's what media does.
that's right. That's right. Kylie
So
Jenner likes
we'll.
her hair today. Oh my
We,
goodness.
is she using blonde eyelashes?
Sagar. All right,
I
all
gotta
right.
check that out. But, all right.
Yeah, you go find out what the Kardashians are up to today. That's what you got to go.
Cool.
All right, man.
Awesome show. Good.
Oh yeah, we talked it to death.
And we will again.